Hey, Cameron McKenzie here, the editor-in-chief at theserverside.com, and I wanted to talk to you about some of the fundamentals of GitHub branches. Now, here's my GitHub repository, and I've got a little repository here called Git Branch Examples. And when I click over here, you can see it takes me right to the main branch, but you'll also notice there's a bunch of other branches in here as well. Bug fix, cool new feature, development, release, support. You can even click on view all branches and get a full list of all of the branches that exist in your environment. You notice that over here you've got that ability to delete a branch on the fly. So if you want to delete a branch in your Git repo, you can do it right from GitHub. I'll delete that support branch. Our users don't need support anymore. And you can come back and you can just take a look at all the different branches that you have. Furthermore, you can flip between branches over on GitHub. Now, the idea of a branch is it's an isolated development environment. So I can make changes in one branch, so I can do some work in the development branch, and the work that I do in the development branch is isolated from the state of the main branch unless somebody goes in and explicitly merges the code there from development into main. So it's a great way to do isolated development, encourage people to experiment, take chances, with the knowledge that you're not going to mess up code on some other production or important branch. But as you can see, I've got Adam, Baker, and Carol right here in the main branch. If I switch over to the development branch, you'll notice it's a little different. I've got Adam, Baker, Carol, and are we not men? We are Devo as well right here. And so that's the idea of branch development. You can do isolated development in different environments. Now, of course, this whole application here, this whole repository can be cloned to a local environment. You just have to grab the GitHub URL. And so maybe you've got a developer, they want to bring this locally, they can open the git bash shell, and then all of a sudden they just have to do a git clone, paste in that URL that I just copied, and then all of a sudden into the local development environment, you now see all of those files, Adam, Baker, and Carol, which maps to the main branch of GitHub. Now you will see that right here I'm in the temp directory, and over here that directory is called Git Branch Examples. I'll have to do a little cd into that folder, and you'll notice that all of a sudden once I'm in a Git directory, the git bash shell will tell me which branch that I'm on. And so there's the main branch. Now, as I said, there were a number of branches that were available. You could see them over here in GitHub. I can always list them here, git branch -a, which says list all branches. It says I've only got one branch locally, but I've got access to a bunch of remote GitHub branches as well. And if I want to bring the code from any of these branches into my local environment, I just have to switch over to that branch. There used to be a checkout command, but we don't use that anymore. So notice up here I've got Adam, Baker, and Carol, but Devo is missing. That's because I'm on the main branch here, and Devo was part of the development branch on the server. If I come over here and say git switch to the development branch, you notice that we've switched the development branch, and also boom, Devo is now in that file folder. And I can start doing work in here to my heart's content, maybe make some changes, push them back to the server, and all of a sudden the server will be updated with the code that I work here. And that's all the synchronization of Git. By the way, I use the git switch command to move from one branch to another. So I'll do git switch hotfix. And that moves me onto the hotfix branch. No major changes there. I can do a git checkout as well and move to the release branch. The checkout command was replaced with switch in 2020. So we use switch now. Just checkout's confusing. Sometimes when people think of checkouts, they think of older DVCS tools where people would lock files that other people couldn't get access to when it's checked out. We don't have anything like that in Git. It's a free-for-all if you can get the code locally after a clone. So we don't use checkout anymore, but it still works. And as you can see, I checked out the release branch and I am now on that release branch. Also, if I do a git branch without any switches, so no -r or -a, that just tells me all the branches that I've used locally, that I've checked out locally, that I've switched to locally. Git branch -r shows me all of my remote references. So here it looks like I have never been on the cool new feature branch. Maybe somebody else is working on that. That might be none of my business. That's never been brought locally. And by the way, you can always do git branch -a, and -a tells you all the branches you've released you have switched to locally, and then also all of the remotes that are available. If you're wondering about the green and the star, that just means that's the current branch that you have checked out. So those are some of the branch functions that you get in GitHub, and then also some of the branch functions and operations that you can do from the bash shell. It is worth mentioning that GitHub provides a bunch of features beyond the standard ability to switch, check out, and list Git branches. So if I come over to settings here, you'll notice that in the settings for this Git repository, there are a bunch of cool features. So one of those features is to set the default branch. You always know that there's one branch that's most important. All are equal, but some are more equal than others. And the most important branch in your Git or GitHub repository typically is the master branch or the main branch. We stopped calling it master branch. We now call it the main branch. So we see main from now on. Inside of GitHub, you can specify which branch is your base branch, and you can specify any branch. Here you can see that the main branch has been set to be main, but you could change that to any existing branch, or even you could rename that branch. So you could rename that branch. You could rename it to master if you wanted to be old school, but as I said, we like to keep main going. The other thing too is over here you can delete any branch in Git locally that you want. So I can say git branch -d hotfix, and it'll delete the hotfix branch. Now it does that locally, it doesn't do it on the server, so I'd have to go and click the garbage can on that branch on the server to get that replaced. But over here you can add branch protection rules. And with branch protection rules, you can stop people from, well, you might be able to stop people from doing a merge into a particular branch. So maybe you've got your main branch and you're thinking, I only want certain users to have the rights to merge code into main, because maybe your continuous integration or Jenkins or GitHub Actions takes that code, puts it into production, and you don't want junior developers merging into that code. You can require status checks to pass before merging. You can require signed commits. You can even manipulate how people push their code into your history. So you can require a nice linear history rather than a bunch of crazy branching. Now these are all features that GitHub provides you over and above Git. So Git doesn't do any of these things. Git is very just focused on source code management. But obviously if you're working in a production environment, you want to be able to protect certain branches, mark certain branches as being important, and require a certain workflow, be it Git hub pull or Git flow, or I was going to say GitLab flow, moving from kind of repository to repository or branch to branch. And so these are some of the extra functions that you get when you work with GitHub that aren't available in Git. But overall, that's a bit of a whirlwind tour of all of your branches and the branch features that GitHub provides to you, both the ones that synchronize with your local Git environment and some of the cool features that GitHub provides that don't come with Git out of the box. Now, if you enjoyed that tutorial, head over to theserverside.com. I'm the editor-in-chief over there, and we've got lots of great tutorials on GitHub, GitLab, Git, DevOps tools, continuous integration, GitHub Actions, you name it. If it has to do with enterprise development, we cover it. If you're interested in my personal antics, you can follow me on Twitter at CameronMCNZ, and please subscribe on the YouTube.